Hello and welcome to the Phil Gadd Podcast, where we delve into the minds of entrepreneurs and discover how they achieved their starts, overcame obstacles, developed their own success and growth mindset. By listening to my podcast, you can implement some strategies you learn, start shaping your own growth mindset and entrepreneurial journey. It can be that simple. Today, again, I'm going with more of a local flavour. The Fernie elections are looming fast, and today I'm joined by Spencer Gough. Spencer Gough. Is that pronounced?
Yeah. Call for the G.
That's it. Yeah. Sorry, Spencer Gough, and he is a candidate for the City of Fernie Council elections. So welcome, Spencer.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming along. So, from your notes, you're a Calgary guy who grew up coming to Fernie most weekends. I guess that was for skiing?
Yeah, I was skiing. My parents really liked skiing, like in the mountains. So, but as soon as they could, they kind of, again, came to Fernie on a trip from university, and as most people do, they kind of fell in love with the place.
Yeah, no, sure. So, so you came as a kid, then you'd be here most weekends.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess skiing was what you came for first. Did you sort of, were you a family that came all year round to Fernie?
Most of the year, yeah, we'd come to Fernie.
Okay.
But like biking and all that before there was like really the Trails Alliance kind of stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then, out to the Kook and stuff. So
right, yeah.
Again, this valley's got everything for all year.
Yes, it does. It does, and even like you mentioned biking before, things like the Trails Alliance. Just on a side note, I've just been away. The amount of work that's been done all over the Kootenays, I think, for activities like that in the last few years has just ramped up to such amazing levels that, there's such amazing trail networks all over the Kootenays, west to east. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, they're quite large, like so much, but so many people come here. Like it's not unused.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And then, just on that as well, I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit when we start talking about, why you're, running for council. But, just as, and I'm sure it's going to come up a lot in this elections, the wastewater thing. But it was a side note really on that. I think now Fernie has a recorded population, a permanent population of now, I think it was 6,300 the last
64
time.
something, 6420, whatever.
Yeah. But then someone said to me, and I kind of knew these numbers were big, but it surprised me a little bit. Sometimes like in the busy weekends, both now in the summer and the winter, the numbers of people actually like using, the toilets and the washrooms can be up to like 18,000 on a busy weekend.
We definitely can get like almost a doubling of our population in transient population.
Yeah.
And then plus weekenders. We get big.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, it's, you need a solid infrastructure just for, them sort of numbers. And, I just wonder, it'd be great. Well, I don't know. I've been here 14 years now, but, I wonder what, 10 years is going to look like. I just think it's, these places like these mountain communities, I feel are just getting busier and busier.
Yep.
So, okay. So you're running for the local, City of Fernie, get my words out, City of Fernie Council election. So why do you want to get into local government?
I always wanted to get into politics. I like helping, listening, being a mediator, I guess, between different groups of people is always kind of what I've done a lot of. And it's just kind of the next step, I guess, is local government. It's a good footing to get your foot in the door into politics, it's one of the spots that you can make a lot of difference because you're in your local community, you're talking to the people that you directly affect, like daily, because you live here, you work here, you represent here. And I just wanted to see some changes happen in our local area. It is hard to do change in politics. Things are set up so things are slow and monotonous and need to be thought out. So I understand that change never happens quickly. And our last council went through, again, COVID, an unprecedented time for all the lockdowns. But I still think we can do better coming out of it and going forward. So instead of, having a water cooler complaint fest with anybody, I might as well stick my hat in the ring and be the change I want to see instead of complain about it.
No, that's fantastic. So, what are the just unpack that a little bit? What some of the changes you'd like to see if you're elected to the city council?
Yeah, so communication is one of my biggest ones. Going through all businesses, I've worked hospitality, oil and gas, everything. Anytime you're managing or responsible for any projects, communication is always the biggest, success point or letdown. If you don't know what people on the ground, like closest to the issue, are saying, you can't really make a decision behind your desk. So I want to open up the floor for easier transfers of information between city staff, the CAO, and council, and one distill either the public's information back to those people, and as well distill it back from those people to the community. Just make that information easier and more readily understandable and more readily available. Just like examples are projects, when are they starting, when are they projected to end, what's their completion point now, is there going to be an extension on deadlines and time frames. All that just helps everybody live their daily lives better, and I think will ease any frustration on a roadwork project that took a little longer because we couldn't get the asphalt. Now they know why, right? And it's readily available instead of having to go to a town hall and ask for it, right? I think that's very, very important.
Sure.
Yeah.
And is there anything specifically that close to your heart about this town that you'd like to see more of happening at City?
Yeah, like a little bit. I think we've kind of backed off from that small town feel a little bit. I remember growing up here, we always had, there was block parties. There was, up in Ridgemont where I've lived, there's a park up here, and there used to be like a picnic up there and stuff like that. It'd be cool if the city opened up stuff like that again, because you used to be able to rent those spaces fairly easily for a block party.
Okay.
And now there's more restrictions on that. So I'd like those to be opened up again. Yeah. It helps bring that community feel back. We're a small town. We should know all our neighbors, but it's more and more common that you don't. And I'd like the city to do any initiatives they can to open that up and let us have that small town community feel back. Because I loved that growing up. It helped. Kids couldn't get into their house one day. They know 24 doors for what to knock on, right? And now, it's not the same.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of, like, when I first came to Fernie, especially coming from like London, it was a huge surprise that everyone just left their doors open. It's very one of the many reasons that people come to Fernie and love it. That kind of sense of community, that close sort of sense of community is definitely. Yeah, has it gone away? Yeah, I think I probably agree a little bit. It'd be good to, for sure, get some more community events back.
And anything the city can do to help is a big thing, right? They shouldn't be harming that. They should be assisting it in any way, right?
Yeah, for sure. So if you were elected to city, how would you define a successful term on the council?
Probably again, like success is really how you look at it. Mine's always like you have a goal that you're set out to achieve, and yes, that goal can go, as you know, every plan that you've ever made for anything usually falls apart at some point a little bit. So adapting to that means, but if you are able to succeed in the intent, I think is a good point that I'd want to get to. So it might, like, a successful candidacy for me would be getting in, achieving the goals that I ran on, and also listening to the public and being able to, one, change my mind if I need to on even the goals that I had, because again, running, you don't get to talk to everybody as much as you would elected. So I think if a mass or a majority had a different viewpoint than me, I have to be willing to listen to that and adapt the goals that I'm seeking to that. Because again, as an elected representative, it's just not your mindset that matters. You're representing the greater whole, and Fernie doesn't have districts. So like, I know lots of people up in my area, but I don't know as many people out in the airport or Montaigne, right? So being able to represent everybody and listen to them once elected, I think is a big thing. And again, I am running on communication, so that I think would be a very successful thing, is bringing the concerns of the people across the whole Fernie to the light of day would be a big step towards that success.
Yeah, cool. So how does it work? I mean, you know, I've never run for a city position. So are you out there like door knocking at the moment? I mean, how does it work? I don't.
Yeah. So I have signs around town. If you've seen some of those.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
I have been knocking on some doors. That one, it's a little weird still with the after effects of COVID and whatnot. Some people are comfortable with you coming to their door. Some people aren't.
Right.
So there's a new line that we're at now. I go to certain events, the Wednesday social, talk to people there. We got the big forum coming up. So that's kind of the big event for Fernie for our election. So all the candidates come, say their piece, get asked questions, get to meet the public and all that.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, sorry.
No, go for it.
No, so when is the forum?
October 4th.
October. Coming up then. Yeah, next week.
Yeah, well, the election's on the 15th, so.
Yeah. So what are you sort of? Would you just kind of repeat your message about communication there, or what's your kind of, you know, what are you going to be saying at the forum?
Yeah, so I'll be talking what I stand for. But my big thing that I want to do at the forum is make sure that my thoughts and kind of ideals line up with the people that show up with. I want to make sure that, again, I represent Fernie.
Okay.
So I do talk to people one-on-one a lot, as many as I can. But people's opinions when you talk one-on-one can be very different from when they're in a group setting. Some people are very agreeable with what you're saying, but truthfully, they don't agree. They're just agreeing because it's one, they feel cornered or whatever. So being in a spot where there's lots of people around, people are more truthful with how they voice their opinions.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a great opportunity to actually get a better feel of what Fernie wants. So I'll definitely say my piece, say what I stand for, but then be, again, just open to be approached and listen to concerns.
Cool. So with the communication, what I've asked other people on this who are running as well, if there's three things they'd like to achieve. So you kind of mentioned communication.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of two standout sort of items that you'd really like to either see a change or if they were like introduce something new?
Yeah. So on the communication front, I would like it a little more redone for the city website. So information's just very easily found instead of clicking through, one menu to a sub menu to a sub menu. I think it'd be a lot easier if, there was one list of say projects or anything like that. I also want to make all of our meetings accessible to everybody. So I don't know if you've been to our city hall building or anything, like the council chambers are upstairs, right? So I'd like to have all meetings where anybody can go. We don't have an elevator in our old building.
Yeah.
Right. So have them at the senior center or wherever. Right. So just open that up where it's easier for people to come. Excuse me. And also make it more apparent when these things are happening. I know if you're in the know, but lots of people aren't politically aware, or they have concerns with certain issues, but they didn't know when the open house was, they didn't know when the forum was.
Right.
And we do still have those bulletin boards around the library, the aquatic center, community center, the hockey rink all has a bulletin board. So I want more things posted on that of upcoming open houses, where to post concerns, how to post concerns, stuff like that. Take a very active approach on trying to get feedback.
Right. Yeah.
And then another one would be opening up our Facebook again, making it easy to comment or pass through complaints and issues, and hopefully educate people in a constructive way to give feedback as well. That's I think a big thing that harms both the council and the community is when feedback is not given in a productive or easy way, right? Like you can say, oh, something's wrong in my area and the city needs to fix this. Well, like, location and address, what's wrong, how long has it been wrong for, the severity, right? Like it's more of just a non-structured complaint. But I think if you educate people to do a structured complaint, things will happen faster because there's more information there.
No, sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I had to go to City Council quite a lot when I first got here when we were trying to get the business going. So, that was, 14 years ago. So, back then it was very accessible. Admittedly, there's no elevator in that building. So, for someone, who finds it, tricky walking upstairs, that. But, back then it felt like, and I know things have happened through COVID. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the situation is now. You may know more than me, but is it a little bit more prohibitive now for people to actually join meetings? I'm not familiar with that. And also, you touched on opening up Facebook. There's so much weirdness I find with social media now, and how it can create a very toxic environment very quickly. I can understand why companies and organizations don't allow commenting on, for example, a platform such as Facebook. And I just had it recently the other day where someone made a comment on one of my paid ads for my real estate business. And I had to report them to Facebook because it was essentially harassment. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like not discount that at all. Again, Facebook, you do put yourself out into the public sphere.
Yeah.
And again, there's lots of people that hide behind a screen and are very more aggressive and more critical and more, to be honest, just straight up belligerent behind a screen.
Yeah.
But when you sign up for that, when you put yourself out there, you are putting yourself out in the public sphere, and it is an easy accessible form for lots of people to say their piece. And yes, there is harassment. Yes, there is negative people. But I do think, understanding that not all comments not all comments that are unpleasant are not truthful as well. Because lots of people just take any negative thing and push it into that's belligerent, that's harassment, that's this, but they could have some legitimate criticism to certain things.
Sure.
But again, on the flip side, like lots of times they can just be belligerent and harassment. So you do need to have a moderator or something to help, combat that. Right.
Yeah.
But for anybody going into the public sector, working for a council and stuff like that, I don't think closing off any of the avenues that someone would be able to get in touch with you is a good thing. We put ourselves out there to help. And I think we need to understand that we will receive criticism no matter what we do. And that taking away a avenue of communication because there's a few bad apples, I think is actually more negative in the long run. It makes people feel that you don't want to talk to them because that was their method of communication. Especially people coming up in their 20s, 30s, like they don't really won't go to town to fill out a official complaint form or whatever, but they would comment on a Facebook post if something went wrong. They would talk that way, right? So you are restricting a form of communication that people actually use and hold their trust in. Even though you've had harassment, they might not see it that way, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're taking away something from some people, and I don't think that's something that you should do when you are a representative. You should have all avenues. Yeah, it sucks to take any of that bad stuff, but a little bit of a tough skin, a little bit of understanding, I think, can go a long way. And know that there will be, regardless of what you do, a couple people that will, regardless, attack you.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I would tend to agree that more lines of communication are better than restricting. It's just a fine line, isn't it? Because sometimes that stuff on social media can just get out of control so quickly that, like you mentioned, having some form of mediator, however that would work, may be a way to go. Okay, cool. So one question I like to ask everyone who comes on: if there's one piece of advice you could have given yourself a decade ago, what would it be?
Probably find something that makes you happy and do it. I did the kind of, get the good job, make the money, do your business, but like I didn't do it in something that I was passionate about, that I was happy about. And even though like I was doing good at it, it still drags you down a bit inside. It wears you out way quicker. And until you discover that, hey, like, cool, you may love to do this, do that to be successful at. Don't just do say what your parents say, what society thinks you should do. Break out of your own box if you've been put into this box through school, and just get out, do what makes you happy, and put your all into it. And it's really easy to become successful at it when you are passionate for it and you give it your all, than to be railroaded and just do what you're told, even if that's not what you're passionate about. It's so easy to burn yourself out and just be be done with life kind of thing, right? Like you're tired every time you get home and all that, right? There's good tired and there's bad tired. And I think if you're passionate and you work hard, you'll have that good tired where you come home feeling fulfilled and, you know, you succeeded in your day. And then there's bad tired where you fill the spreadsheet out for 8 hours a day and you're miserable, even though you're like by metrics successful, right? Yeah.
Okay, so how would you, I don't know, this is completely different for everyone. How would you define success?
So I guess I have two ways that I kind of look at success. There's one, like in a business sense, where you can measure it through metrics. You can like see goals accomplished. You know, you accomplished your aim. You set your KPIs. You've completed them. You're there. And then the other way that I see it is how you feel. And I think lots of people don't take that as much into account when they determine if they're successful now. Like, did I come home feeling accomplished that day? Did I do my best? Did I feel like I put out into the world what I wanted to? And I think that's a real good point to get to know if you did a successful day or a successful year, right? You can make your metrics and all that, but like at the end of the day, was that all worth it? Did you feel complete in what you did, right? Because you can do amazing at something that you feel absolutely horrible for doing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was a success then. Like, you've hurt yourself more than you've benefited. Like, again, there's a couple ways you can define success.
Absolutely.
Again, everybody has a different outlook at it, right? Like,
totally. Yeah, it's such a subjective question. That's why I like asking it, because you know, every single time, you know, you get a different answer, which is it's great.
Well, even 10 years ago, if you asked me that, I would have had something different.
Yeah.
Very analytical, and like my personal health, my whatever, had nothing to do with it, because it was making money in the oil fields. But like, was I happy? No. I came home exhausted, 70-hour weeks. Yay. And, social life was just, gone. Health was gone. So like, I think there's a balance that we all need to come into acceptance that we need to meet.
Yeah, I agree. I think as I've got older, I'm much more, my success is defined more by my levels of happiness than it is by my size of my bank account.
Yeah.
So, but everyone's different.
Yeah.
Some people's success is, a Ferrari in the garage and, 10 million in the bank, everyone's completely different.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So some quick fire stuff now, just as we're getting towards the end. Are you a reader? Do you read much?
Yes. Anything and everything I can get my hands on.
Cool. All right. What's on your Kindle, or what do you, if you have a Kindle, or what's on the bookshelf at the moment?
Right now, I'm reading some, rereading a whole series. It's, oh my God, I forgot the author's name, but the book I'm reading now is called Shadow of the Wind.
Oh yeah.
It's a Spanish author.
Oh, okay.
Why can I not remember his name? Carlos Zarafon.
Okay.
Yeah.
A fiction, non-fiction?
It's non-fiction. It's a thriller, gothic kind of fiction.
Okay.
Mystery. It's kind of got a whole lot. It makes you think, because there's some.
Okay. Are you a one book person, or do you have lots of books on the go at one time?
Usually one books, but I'll kind of go through books, 1-2 books a week.
Oh wow. Okay.
I read quite fast.
Okay.
Books were always my escape.
Yeah. What would if there was one book of all time that you'd absolutely recommend to someone to read? Can you
probably actually this one.
Okay.
Like my 12th or 14th time reading it.
Oh wow. So sorry, tell me the title again.
The Shadow of the Wind.
Shadow of the Wind.
Yeah,
Okay.
by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I'll just Google it.
Yeah. That's what Google's for.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Carlos Ruiz Zafón.
Oh yeah, I got it. All right,
Yeah.
cool. All right.
Yeah, it's great. It's got some dark parts in it, but again, books that are written kind of, there's a real world out there and there's dark parts in the real world. So
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Music. Are you a music person?
Yeah, I like almost all genres. There's something good about it all. I have very, I guess, eclectic taste. My playlist kind of goes anything from, Phantom of the Opera to
Nice.
There's some heavy metal on there as well.
Yeah.
It just, if something hits me with that beat, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to get you going. Are you a routine person? Do you have like set routines? Is there one routine that you absolutely?
No, I used to be quite like, okay, I need to do this for that to work. But now I'm kind of as the day goes with me.
Okay.
I have some routines that are still there, but I don't. If I can't do it, I don't feel wrong not doing it. If that makes sense, it's more of a routine of. Because that's just how I progress my day. But if I'm in a different place or need to change something up, that doesn't really affect me.
Okay. I suppose routines. All right. Habits, routines. They're almost the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
I guess. Is there a habit? Do you have a habit that's either really annoying or that you actually adhere to all the time?
I guess like my one biggest habit or kind of routine is in the morning I have bad joints, so crack and all that. And I usually end up seeming to do it in the same order every morning. But
okay.
that annoys the partner pretty good.
All right, what's one last quick fire one, and then I actually want to ask you another one before we go. But what's one thing no one knows about you?
I'm pretty open, so
you haven't been a secret like rock star in your past or anything
no,
like that.
Something that nobody knows about me.
The other day someone said they were a secret, well, not a secret, but they were a big gamer, and I wouldn't have guessed it from their demographic, but that was their big reveal. But no, if you haven't got anything,
not really.
There we go. Wow.
I guess, I read silly things, I guess, for fun. Like I get enjoyment out of reading like legislation.
Yeah.
Like convoluted stuff is interesting to me. But I don't know. I'm a jock nerd, I guess. Like I read, I do sports, but I'll play video games. I'll read lawsuits for fun. I listen to law podcasts on not like the hype of the thing, but like what was the legal formality that caused this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
all right. So my last question really, how did you go from oil and gas to gymnastics coach?
So I was in gymnastics growing up.
Oh, okay. Right.
Competitive in that. Oil and gas, again, worked too much. Right. I just got to a point where I was burnt out.
Yeah.
Told my partner we just need to leave for a bit. We went and traveled all Southeast Asia. Nice. I rented a house in Vietnam at the end of that for 2 months.
Cool.
She got sick, homesick. And so she had a cousin in Perth, Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Went there. I love to cook. So while we were there for 4 years, I got certified in like hospitality management, kind of like a cert for chef. So like a blue steel chef.
Oh, right.
And then when I came back here, worked a little bit around town and was like, again, not happy. And one of my metrics for me, success in life is to be happy. And I liked coaching. I like helping kids achieve their dreams. So kind of natural progression was that. And with my gymnastic background, they were looking for a coach, and it kind of worked out.
Awesome. Cool. Well, my daughter, loves working with you. So, great addition to town. And absolutely. I think coaching kids is amazing. One thing I've been thinking about trying to. I've never really done it, but I think I might get my toes wet in some form of team sport.
Yeah, it's super rewarding, and like they always need people, right? Be it like a baseball team, soccer team, any of those things, right? And our town's full of active kids, so
that's right.
Yeah.
No, they are very, very active. It's very funny when we go back to the UK, and it's quite a big difference in Fernie kids.
Yeah, just the outlook of life. Like, I'm just gonna go as a kid, go for a 2-hour bike ride with my friends on these trails up a mountain. Like, you wouldn't see that in like normal towns and cities, right? It's here they want to do that.
Yeah, it's like they're normal, which is it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, Spencer. Well, thanks very much for giving me your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Really fascinating insight to why you're running for council, and a bit of background of how you become the gymnastics coach. So thanks again, and all the best in the elections coming up here very soon.
Thanks, Phil. Glad to be on, and hope you have a good rest of your summer before the snow comes.
Yeah, it looks like it might be quite nice for a few days here, so I think I'll take advantage and
just nice to see the leaves change.
Yeah, it was actually it was funny actually, because we just been biking in Roslyn like last week, and we went exactly the same time last year, and I was sitting there like yesterday having breakfast, looking at the trees and everything. I was like, I'm sure last year when we come, everything was like unbelievably like orange and red.
Yeah.
And someone said, this year they're 2 or 3 weeks behind. So, and I don't know, you get into one of those conversations. Apparently, it's the sugars in the leaves, but I'm no horticulturalist, so I was just like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
the heat's still here, so they're not changing.
Yeah. So apparently, they're a couple of weeks behind. So we should be. We should get all them amazing colours here pretty... I mean, I know they're sort of turning that way now, but...
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be one of those all-at-once things, and we don't have to rake the yard 17 times.
Yeah, right. Well, hopefully, and then the snow comes and you're done with it, so yeah. All right, well, listen, have a great rest of your day, and thanks again.
No problem, you as well. Have a good one.
All right, yeah, thanks.